All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. Paul McClain here, and I've got a very special guest today. In fact, I'm sure you've seen her on different podcast training. I know that it pops up on my phone, and every time I click it, because I do, I get something that helps me think at a higher level, helps me be motivated, more inspired to go out there and do more, and that's the purpose of this podcast. Every single Monday morning to be able to go out there and help encourage, inspire, motivate, and impact more people to go out there and accomplish what they set out to accomplish. And so today, guys, we've got somebody that's gone out there and she helps, 30, 40 plus families every single month, has a growing group of a lot of agents doing the exact same thing she's doing, serving families across the country. So I want you guys to welcome Erica Walker. Good to have you, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, and really what I want to, talk about today is kind of the power of the process. I think that a lot of times it's easy for agents to have this expectation of I'm going to go out there, I'm going to serve 30, 40 families a month, and I'm going to see great success. And that's the expectation they should have, because I do believe that if you put the work in and you just put your head down and you develop and grow, there's no reason why you can't go out there and do the same thing that a lot of other people are doing. You could do that if you just put the work in. But at the same time, a lot of times what we experience is not what we expect, right? We want to have this great expectation of running on this business, but then our today experience doesn't show that. Our today experience shows people ain't picking up the phone. Right? I booked 10 appointments and 8 of them didn't show up, or I helped this many families and this many fell off. And so it looks different than what the picture in our mind shows. And I just believe that that's the case for about everybody. But a lot of times we can make up in our mind that it's not the case for us. Like we're afflicted with this special condition where we don't experience what we expect. But that's not the case. And I think that's the breeding ground for discouragement is I expect to see this, but my experience shows otherwise. But the power of the process of just continuing to be diligent and show up and put it all out there and focus on what we can control is really where I think the success is found. And so, Erica, if you can kind of unpack that, like some of the things that, throughout the process in Family First Life that you've kind of, had to go through, did you ever have an expectation and your experience didn't show that? And if you can, maybe talk about that and how you, powered through that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny, just even yesterday, had a rough day on the phones and got hung up on and rebuttal after rebuttal. And it was just like, some days it's like, shoot, I feel like I can't, protect a family to save my life. And one of my agents made a comment and they're like, it's so nice to see it happen to you. Like, no offense, and it is true. Like it honestly happens to everybody. And I think when I came to FFL, I had, this expectation of, everything's just going to go smooth. They want insurance. I'm going to close every single person. And it was like tough for me in the beginning. I honestly, wasn't even sure if I was contemplating quitting FFL. I was like, I don't know if this is for me, because I was at another company for about a year and a half. And I was not like a rock star salesperson. I did not have crazy numbers. I just kind of did the average. I loved building a team. That was kind of more my strong suit. And so coming to FFL, having it, being centered around, selling a lot, I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. And it was hard. So I actually was like, maybe I'm going to look for something else. Like, I don't know if I can be successful at FFL. And I think honestly, I had a moment where I looked at other people and it was like, why not me? Like Shawn always says, like, why not you? If they can do it, there's nothing special about people. It's just their work ethic. And so I had this kind of like reflection on myself and I'm like, you know what? Like, yes, I'm going to get hung up on. I accepted that, okay, there's going to be struggles. There's going to be, difficulties to overcome, but why not me? Why can't I do this? And I remember I'd be dialing, Hawaii leads until 11 o'clock some nights just to, learn and get the skill set better, because that wasn't something that came easily to me. It was, believe it or not, it was something that I really had to work on. And so it takes time. And now look, it's like people look at it like, oh, she can go write business. So, and it's so easy, but it's like they don't see day one how it was.
I love that. So externally, like all these different, struggles where it got you to this place of like, I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should do something different. That all was taking place, but all of a sudden you made this change in your mind to say like, why can't I do this? Like, why not me?
Hmm.
What got you to a place that you feel like, got you to make that change where you started to really believe that amidst the results that weren't showing you that this was going to work, that were actually leaving you with more doubt, so much so that you really kind of thought about leaving the industry. What about, like, how did that change where you all of a sudden amidst all that said, why can't I do this? Like I could do this even though I don't see the results.
Yeah, honestly, I think it has a lot to do with my why. Like, if your why of what you're doing something is stronger, like you'll find a way to overcome any obstacle. And for me it was like I didn't come from, a rich family or anything like that. We've, lived paycheck to paycheck growing up, and I wanted to retire my dad. I want to be able to provide for my family, my future family. And I knew that it was on me, to be able to have that for them. And so that was honestly what drove me, that it was like, there's no other vehicle like FFL. And I just had to, I'm going to give this, 90 days, and I'm going to give it 110% and give it my all and see what happens. And so I would say that what the switch for me was really my dad, and my parents and my family, that it's like, hey, they're depending on me, to help them. And so if you have a strong why, you're going to find a way to win, I believe.
I love that. So your why was always there. Was it just something that you paused and said, why am I doing this? And kind of asked yourself that question that put your focus on your actual why?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times you become so caught up in just like yourself, and you kind of play like this victim mentality. And I think the people, that's what separates people from being successful. And I think even running, an agency and dealing with different kinds of people, we all have things going on in our life. We all have adversities. We all have family issues, personal things come up, but it's like, how are you going to grow through that? Are you going to take that and is it going to be a setback for you? Or are you going to use that to propel you? And so I think for me, I really just took a minute to kind of self-reflect. And it's like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing FFL? And I realized I had that kind of moment with myself that it was like, this is why I'm doing it. And that really kind of propelled me to just go all in with it, honestly.
I love that. And I think that a lot of times that stuff has to happen. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you have to have the no shows, the no sales, kind of that struggle in the beginning. And I always say like, you're not stuck with what you started with, but what you started with might be different than what somebody else started with as far as their character, their thought process, their attitude, their experiences, how they see themselves, the identity. And a lot of times like that beginning stage of getting this thing going, like that's where the development takes place, like it's like
Absolutely.
you're planting a seed and you don't know how deep that seed was planted, and maybe your seed had to go a lot deeper because you had to build the character and have more
Hmm.
weight and more dirt on you to get through those different things. But the problem is when we stop and we start digging up the seed to see if there's any growth taking place, we kill it, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that like these activities that we have to do, we can't get so hung up on the results that we stop doing the things that actually lead to the fruit, the results we want, which is just tending to the root, like watering, dialing, leads, all these different things. But I
Hmm.
also do believe in conjunction with that, Erica, like, there's a point in time where typically when it gets so painful or it's just like, man, this sucks. Like, what the heck? Can somebody pick up the phone? Can somebody show up?
Hmm.
A lot of times when it gets to that point, is finally when we sit back and become more aware of things like our why. And like, why are we
Yeah.
even doing this in the first place? Or what do I need to change about myself to get to this place? Or what is it going to take for me to go out there and do X amount? And then we can redesign a plan and a strategy that might have been a failed strategy to get there. Now we can say, well, my lead flow is off or my schedule's been off, man. Like I can't keep showing up to the office at 9 o'clock. I know that. But
Mhm.
because we're just going through the motions and it's not painful enough, we don't look up yet. I think about that analogy that I heard a long time ago. I don't remember where I heard it, but they said the guy walks by and there's this dog that's like yelping on the patio, and the guy that's walking by the house is like to the homeowner that's on the porch, like, dude, what's up with your dog, man? Like, why is he yelping like that? And he's like, well, he's sitting on the nail. And the guy's like, well, dude, why doesn't he get up off the nail? And the homeowner's like, well, because it doesn't hurt bad enough. Meaning that, like, his comfort of just laying
Mhm.
there, even though it's painful, it's not hurting bad enough for him to actually get up and do something about it. And so for anybody on here today, maybe, when you start asking, like, why is this taking so long? Or maybe it's, I'm not good at this thing or whatever, because this person over here, man, in their first 30 days, they did this. Well, you're not that person.
Yeah.
And maybe these things have to take place to build the character, to develop you so you could withstand the success that's around the corner for you if you just stay true to the process. Um,
100%.
and so
Yeah,
I love,
that was one thing too, that I had a moment where it was early on at FFL, and it was like I just wasn't growing the way that I wanted to. And I felt like I kind of hit a wall with production, that there was a month that I'm like, dude, like, what's going on? I'm used to throwing up these big months, and it was just like I had another like self-reflect moment, and I think sometimes that it's like what your reward or your blessing is delayed because you're not that person that like you need to be yet. And I learned so much in that month about myself, if I'm being vulnerable, that like, shoot, I kind of had an ego. Like there was, I loved being number one. I was upset when I wasn't first. And I really realized a lot of things about myself that I was like, I don't like, and that moment was able to change so many internal things about myself and my character, for when now looking back, I'm like, shoot, that was kind of like a protection, like God protecting me from myself almost. Because, if your character isn't developed in this business, people see right through you, what your intentions are or not. And there's a lot of things like everybody's growth is different, and there's certain times. So even if you're far along in your career and you have a block where you're like, I'm not growing, what's going on? Like, take a moment, reflect in your character, because I learned so much about myself during that time that was like mentally tough for me. And it honestly changed my character so much into who I am now. And I'm so thankful for that process as well.
that's good. I mean, Shawn said this the other day. He said, man, like, if I would have got the money that integrity gave the company and allowed us the infrastructure, and he's like, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it would not have been like it is now, because when he got that, when integrity came on the scene, we'd been in business for 7 years. There was a lot of development and growth for the company, for all of us that were building a business, and like we had to go through so many different things to build this character, to really allow that money to be used in the right way when it finally came. And
Yeah.
really kind of the very similar point to what you're talking about, Erica. Like, sometimes you have to go through it. Like, it has to happen for you to be able to develop yourself to withstand that success that's around the corner for you. And I absolutely love the perspective on that. What do you think has been some of the breakthrough moments that you've had? I know you said like the ego. Well, let me ask you this. How did you come to that realization? Like, what did you do? Because I think it's one thing to be aware, but then it's another thing to do something about it, to have your intentions say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what's taking place. This is what needs to change. Like, what did you do, practically to really get that change to come to pass?
That's a good question. I prayed a lot. Honestly, I read a lot of books about, leadership and stuff. And I honestly started putting my people first, truly, like, and caring about every one of my agents. I think there was a point where, I'll admit it was like I wanted to see the numbers, the growth, and I didn't care so much about people, and like I've always cared about people, but my focus was just not on the right thing, if that makes sense. Like I was more focused on the growth, the numbers, the volume, than like, how can I serve my agents? Like, how can I show up every day to help them be better? And So that was one thing that as soon as I shifted that, because I truly, like, I joined FFL and started building an agency again because I wanted a company that I could literally help anybody get to the level that I'm at. That it's not just me. It's anybody that works hard, that puts in the work, you know, X, Y, and Z can be successful. Like, that's what I wanted in a career. And so I really just had to go back to the basics of, you know what, Erica, like, who cares about the numbers, the production? Like, it'll come, but you're doing this to help people, you know? And that was the thing that I really just started being more selfless. And that's why I always try to lead from the front, to be on Zoom, to show up every day for my team, so I can better serve them better.
I love that. So asking yourself, like, what's the biggest thing that's kind of holding me back to the success I want to have, and it was ego. And then what you
Mm-hmm.
did, Erica, was exactly what eradicates that, you know, because ego is all about, like, you know, how I'm, you know, what I'm looked at as, you know, it's about myself, it's about my success, it's about what I can see. And then significance, no ego, making a difference. It's about everybody else. Like, you know,
Yeah.
to eradicate the ego, it's putting other people first. And so your action was very much aligned with doing that. That takes away the ego. And I think that that's the biggest thing. You know, it's one thing to know, but then it's another thing to say, hey, how do I handle this? Like, what do I do
Mm-hmm.
to deal with this? Because there's things for everybody, you know, and that creeps in with everybody. You can say, I don't have an ego problem right now, Paul. Okay, right now. But wait
Yeah.
until 9 months, and then you're in this situation, and then that shows up. Are you going to be
Mm-hmm.
aware of it though when it does, and then be intentional to get back to what matters most and what got you there, which is serving others and helping other people? Because I could tell you this much, Erica, in the past 15 years of doing this business, that's gone. It's been in peaks and valleys, like as far as ego and all these other things, discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, faithfulness, and not being fear based. And there's highs and lows with all these different things that are attributes, and it's just being aware of it and understanding what do I tweak and adjust specifically for me to keep moving forward. You know, what are some of the things that now you do, like when you kind of you got a goal set in place, right? Like you want to
Mm-hmm.
achieve whatever that is, as far as volume or families helped or your team, and you know, it's not coming to pass. How do you stay encouraged to keep moving and doing the things that you need to do to see success? So there's specific things you do throughout the day that kind of keep your mind right and not focused on the outcome when the outcome hasn't shown up yet. And then there's different things that you also do to kind of celebrate progress to keep your eyes focused on the things that are growing and developing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is I do have goals. I have, you know, monthly, weekly, and the biggest thing is for production wise, that's a big, you know, thing, but I've changed my goals to my agent's goals, right? So it's like for volume, yes, I have my goal, but it's like, how can I help each of them hit their goal? You know, and especially with the managers that I have, you know, Dima and Naeem, it's like they're racing to get to VP. How can I help them get to VP and serve them better? And so switching that focus to more of like a me goal and a per team goal, and honestly kind of including my team in it and doing like, hey, if we hit here, you know, we can go do this, or doing, you know, team centered things. Um, that's helped a lot as far as just, you know, having those goals in mind of, you know, putting it back on how can I help each of these individual people get to where they want to be. And in return, like, shoot, we'll grow, you know, and get to where I want to be. Um, and then, yeah, things don't always go the way that, you know, you plan. And I think one time, you know, times like that, I look and self-reflect and it's like, okay, you know, I have everything planned out. Like my schedule, I have a planner that's by hour, and I'm a big, like, if it doesn't get on my schedule, it doesn't get done. And so I'll block off my dial times, my recruiting times, my helping agent times. And I think being really disciplined in a schedule is what's going to help you get to your goal. And so it's like if you're, you know, when we're in a place where I'm like, we're not, you know, we're behind. I reflect and look at my schedule like, okay, did I actually go by my schedule? Did I get my things that I need to do every day? My recruiting messages out, like my dial time, and have that moment with myself. Like, did I give 110%? And if the answer is no, then I need to double up on my messages a day or things like that, production to get to where we need to be. So that's kind of how, you know, I structure my goals and stuff. It's more around so that way now. And I include more of like the team effort instead of it's just me, if that makes sense.
I love that. I mean, that's such a big deal. So once
Hmm.
for you, Erica, once you schedule it, is it that it's done then? So once
It's
it's in your
done.
schedule, it's done.
Yep. Once it's in my schedule, like every Sunday, I plan out my week. I have everything blocked off. And once it's in my schedule, like it gets done. And so I've noticed a huge change, honestly, since I've done that. And especially, you know, we have so many hats to wear sometimes and things can get overwhelming. Like even today, I'm like, I need to redo my schedule because I'm getting pulled into this direction a little bit more and I need to adjust, you know, my schedule a little bit. So that's, I mean, that's huge. Like, because it's so easy to get caught up, especially if you have a team of, okay, I'm dialing and then my agent needs help and you're being pulled in so many different directions. So if you break it down and you schedule in that time, it's just, shoot, it helps so much.
I love that. So schedule once you put it in, it's done. And
Yep.
so for anybody on here, you got to ask yourself, like, when I put things in my schedule, do I really see it as done, or do I see it as like a suggestion? You know, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a big difference, especially being self-employed. If it's already done, then all you have to do is go execute. And then after you're done executing throughout the week, reflect upon it. Ask yourself, did I really execute at the full level that I could? What could I have tweaked? What could I have adjusted? Let me go back to my priorities. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to help agents go out there and serve 20, 30 families a month. I want to save more agents, give them more of an opportunity to join FFL. I want to go out and serve 40 families. So you go back to your priorities and then you go back to your schedule. Okay, what can I take out, delegate, automate, procrastinate? You know, maybe I need to put off this thing because it's taking precedence and it shouldn't. And you reflect, adjust, and then put the schedule back in place. And then all you got to do is show back up. See, that's the, what you just said, Erica, like, I believe like that's the single biggest thing that everybody
Yeah.
watching here today, if you did that, you would triple. And if you
100%.
feel like you've been tripping, it's because of that. It's because of
Yeah.
that. Like, I feel like I know what I need to do. I don't know why it's not working. I feel like I'm hitting my head against the wall. It's because of that. Once you put it in your schedule, is it a mere suggestion where you're like, I know I need to do that, but your execution, you're okay with not actually doing it? Or is it like, no, this is done? That's the first step. Now, let me ask you, Erica, if somebody's in that step, like they're like, I kind of have a schedule, but you know, I'll put in there a dial from this time to this time, and I just don't necessarily stick to it. I get distracted or pulled away. What do you think? Because I know that to me, that's like a symptom, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could they do to get it from a suggestion to like, oh, it's done. Once it's in there, it's accomplished.
Yeah, I think just honestly, you have to make the decision to do it. Like I was there where when I started mapping things out, things didn't get done, you know, and then it was like, I really had to be disciplined and just do it, you know, and then make that decision because it was like, and you have to give up certain things too, you know, but when you see your schedule and when it's on there, just make that decision. I'm going to be disciplined. And if your mornings you find yourself like, hey, I'm not such an early riser, like adjust your schedule to accommodate that. It's fine, right? Instead of putting it on dial at 7 a.m., move it to 8 o'clock if you find yourself you needing more time in your morning and adjust your schedule that way.
It takes that personal like self-awareness of like, okay, this is what's distracting me. This is what's messing me up. So how do I just like move it, deal with it where I can just move it, eliminate it, right?
Yep,
Move it
absolutely.
away. I love that. So suggestion to it's done. It's accomplished now. It's in your schedule, and now you just have to go execute and accomplish it. What have been some of the things that are distractions for you when you say, I'm going to go out and dial from this time or recruit? Do you ever get distracted? And if you do, what's typically that thing that pulls you away and that distracts you?
Um, I think the biggest thing is like when you are running an agency and you have agents and other responsibilities is pretty much you know, they're asking you questions or they need your help. And my thing in the beginning was I don't want to never have an agent feel like I'm abandoning them or I'm not there to help them, you know? And then I'm like, you know what? Like there's other agents on here. They can help them. I need to like let go of some of that control. And respect my and have my dial time. And so they know like, hey, from this time to this time, when Erica's dialing, like you can text me, I'll respond via text, but like I'm not doing any calls, I'm not doing any meetings or anything like that. And they know when I have my block of here's my meeting time, they'll pull me into a breakout room, ask questions. So that was one of the things that was a really big obstacle for me. I know Josh was like, Erica, no one's gonna die, in your 3 hours that you're dialing for yourself, So, but I have a thing. I always want to be there and help everybody, So delegating that to, okay, we have other people on the call, on our Zoom room, they can help, so that for me, that was my biggest thing. And distractions, we work from home, which is hard for some people if they have kids or if they have, anything, distractions at home. They need to do this and they need to do that. And so it's definitely hard to have that self-discipline, of switching to working from home. And the biggest thing too is like, people don't treat this business like an actual business. It's like, why do we, when we have a 9 to 5 job, we clock in at 9, we have an hour lunch, and then we clock off at 5, right? Like, why aren't we giving FFL that opportunity of treating it like a career, right? Like, okay, I'm dialing at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I'm clocking in for work. I have an hour lunchtime, and then I'm done at this time. Like, why don't we have that much respect for ourselves and for this opportunity that we would give an employer for building their future, So I take that into consideration too.
I love that. I mean, I don't think I could say it any better. That this is the stuff that I just know makes such a massive difference. This is the turning point for anybody that wants to say, hey, this was a breakthrough moment. Look at your schedule. Become more aware. Because the first thing is this. You cannot defeat what you can't define. And so if you don't know where you're at, you don't know what's holding you back, if you don't know the things you need to tweak and adjust, if you don't know those things, then how are you going to go out there and conquer them? How are you going to defeat them? You absolutely can't. And so a lot of what I'm getting, Erica, is just the importance of being very aware of yourself, being aware of your business. And if you're aware, then you can make necessary adjustments and changes to go out there and see the new action, the new activity, the new execution that's going to lead you to where you want to go. And so phenomenal stuff, phenomenal stuff. All right, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to give you some questions. So it's rapid fire question section.
Okay.
All right. So it's going to be quick, but we're going to go through a couple quick questions. What's your favorite Netflix series?
Grey's Anatomy, 100%.
Grey's. Hey, that show's old, right?
Yes, there's like 18 seasons.
My 15-year-old has been watching that lately.
Oh, I love it. I always I'm like OCD when it comes to dialing. Like I have to have something on in the background. So I have that playing because I've seen it so many times. It's not a distraction, but I love that Grey's Anatomy for sure.
The funny thing is, Erica, my daughter has like this big TV in her room. And before she goes to bed, I'll go, kiss her goodnight and pray with her. And so I go in there, and every night for like the last like 3 months, because there's like 18 seasons, she's watching on her phone. I'm like, what are you doing? She's sitting there watching on her phone. I'm like, why don't you watch it on TV? She's like, I don't know, I just watch it on my phone. Which is interesting. All right, did you have a childhood nickname?
No, not really. Just Erica. No,
okay.
Nothing.
That could be good or bad.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a nickname means like,
my dad would call me long legs in basketball because I was so tall. I'm 5'9", and I was 5'9" since I was like 7th grade. And so I was so skinny and running across the basketball court. He was like, you just look ridiculous.
I love that. My Peyton is the same thing. She's got the smallest torso and the longest legs. So she's not 5'9", she's like 5'7". But she looks like a llama or something she's like a gazelle as she runs through the soccer field. All right, what's something what's something that's made you nervous recently? Like something that took place that made you kind of nervous or uncomfortable?
Shoot, I think doing all these calls, to be honest, I think just, the next level of kind of growth that I've, had lately, has made me is nerve-wracking, it's different, I'm not used to talking so much and being on all these calls. I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable, but that was definitely something that was very uncomfortable. Doing Grady's call by myself I was so nervous. I almost fainted.
That is great. All right, last
Oh my
question.
God.
What is something that somebody watching the podcast today, they wouldn't know about you?
That I almost quit FFL. That's one thing. I'm really like kind of a tomboy. I grew up with all brothers, so I love doing yard work. That's my peace of mind. I was actually
So when that weed whacker went off behind you, were you like tempted to
I know that
get
was
up and
actually
go?
the garden person outside. I was like, please have him not do that right now.
Were you tempted to go out there and help him?
I know. I love yard work. I really do.
Yeah.
It's like a soothing. One of my manager, Dima, called me and he's like talking to me and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm scraping moss off our brick. And he's like, why? I was like, this is like therapeutic for me.
That is awesome. That is great. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a phenomenal podcast. I took so much from it. I think we really, Erica, you really hit upon things that matter most. I mean, this is the stuff that when agents can stop and sometimes just taking a quick pause, right? Just pausing for a second and just taking a real look at your business and yourself and interrogating reality and figuring out what to tweak and adjust, because we're all dysfunctional human beings.
Yeah.
Trying to go out there, progress, and get better every single day. And I don't think that, somebody that has these leaps of progress is doing a whole lot different than somebody that's not. I think they're just more aware. Like they're interrogating their reality. They're becoming more aware of where they're at and what they need to tweak and adjust. And then they're making those adjustments. And so I took so much from this, guys. If you did too, share this, which I know you did. Share this, like, subscribe. I do believe everybody wants to make a difference, and just simply sharing this might make a massive difference to somebody that watches it that wouldn't watch it if you didn't share it. Also, comment below. We have lead giveaways, four winners every week now of $250. So comment below, and I always love seeing agents across the country come up and say, man, I won and took that $250, was able to go out and serve families, and you don't know where I was at in the business. So maybe they were in that spot like Erica where he was like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe I could do something different, and all of a sudden that $250 infuses them. They go out there, serve some families, and the ball's rolling. And so, guys, make it a big week. Erica, thank you so much for joining. Guys, be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
What's going on, guys? You know what time it is. It's time to give away leads to 4 lucky people. 4 people are going to win $250 worth of lead credit. If you commented on last week's video, which is playing right over here, you're automatically entered to win. So, comment on this video that's playing right now and you might be entered. You might win next week. But for now, let's see who won this time. Our first winner is Mr. Leon. Our second winner is Tire Trade Winds. Borrow it from them. Paul delivers on Monday morning wake up. Winner number 3 is Kaiser Cameron 2012. There is always such great information in this podcast. Thank you for providing so much value. And our fourth and final winner for today is the same comment. No, we can't give the same person twice in a row. JM, honestly, I could care less what you do makes no difference to me, honestly. Guys, it's that simple. And also, you couldn't actually care less. That was a quote from the podcast. Anyway, it's that simple. Leave a comment and you could win. You could win $250 in leads, which could mean you help 20 families or even 30 families or 10 families. It doesn't matter. We're helping people. No matter what the volume is that you help these leads, just leaving a comment could help you serve families. So have a great week, guys. We'll see you next Monday. Take care.